gotta settle it. Look at the life that we relish, I'm telling it. I'm the star of the show and the regiment. Can't stop me, bro, ain't no pedaling. Ain't no riding the wave. Staring right in your face, you know where I'm getting it. This ain't back in the days. Get ready for more and more, ain't no meddling, no. Gotta know what my head is for sure. I had a show when I was young, I had my back on the ropes. Looking like I never had her on roll. In school of hard knocks, I get hard drops. Got drive even when the car stops. I don't ask it if they let me, ain't no get ready. When you stay ready, let's go. You know the crowd is ready. You know the crowd is ready, get ready. You know the crowd is ready. Woo, woo. You know the crowd is ready. Get loud and ready. It's time to settle the score. Woo. Get loud and ready. We take no asking for more. Woo. Get loud and ready. It's time to settle the score. Get loud and ready. Get loud and ready.
cards are dealt, my friend. My sleeves are rolled up. There's nothing left to say but to do just what it takes. It's just a matter of time, and while the world keeps turning, I fight a battle inside, deep beneath the surface, just like a beat that don't stop. One more time. See, I've been waiting all my life windows rolled up. Drive so fast, can't see them in our mirrors now. Wait until they figure out, yeah. The more I see, the more I'm letting go. 'Cause it may be what's out of my control lights a fire in my soul, yeah. One more time. See, I've been waiting all my life. The fortune that I seek is now within my reach. Oh, I won't give it up. I won't give it. I won't give it up. More time. See, I've been waiting all my life. Oh, one more time. See, I've been waiting all my life. The fortune that I seek is now within my reach. I won't give it up. I won't give it up. I won't, yeah.
times they come around, can't let them bring you down.
Countdown to Green. The crew sets the stage for the Coca-Cola 160. We take a look at the results of the qualifying series and free agency. And we catch up with the new two-time champ, Steven Wilson. All of that and more, coming up on Countdown to Green.
Hello everybody and welcome to the virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway. The quest for $100,000 and the title of champion starts tonight. This is the Countdown to Green presented by Logitech. We're here for the first round of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Championship Series. Welcome in everybody. Such a pleasure to have you here and be back for this quest for 100 grand. I'm Alan Cavana, joined by two of the best in the business, Ryan Vargas, James Pike. James, let's start with you. We have 40 of the best virtual stock car drivers out there, and it starts tonight. What are you thinking about this field?
I'm thinking this is one of the better fields we've had in the history of the Coke Series. I'm also thinking we're going to one of the best tracks for the Coke Series, especially in the next-gen era. Charlotte has always put on competitive races, entertaining races. You got 160 to deal with tonight, a little bit longer race as well, so you got room for strategy. We're going to start off with the right foot, I think. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Ryan, every race is important. It's a short season. They call them cookie-cutter tracks. This is the original cookie. What do you like about Charlotte?
And Charlotte is such a fun racetrack. There's so many grooves to pick from, right? You know, it's so bumpy. You have to fight the handling of the race car while keeping the speed up in the corners. So I'm excited for the racing tonight. You mentioned the shorter season, a lot less time between the races to prepare. So it's going to be interesting seeing how these guys adapt.
James, it is a massive week here in Charlotte. It starts tonight, but it continues with the Sim Racing Expo. Tell us about it. Big deal.
Oh, huge deal. Biggest sim racing show of its kind to ever hit the United States. Friday, Saturday, Sunday at the Charlotte Convention Center. And the eNASCAR College iRacing Series is going to have a special exhibition race, high noon Sunday. We've had time attack already. We've got 40 of the best college drivers that are going to compete at the virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway for some fun. You've got eNASCAR simulators. You've got iRacing present there. You've got so many different manufacturers, equipment makers, companies, so many members of the sim racing community that are all going to be present for one of the biggest sim racing gatherings the United States has ever seen, period. How much fun I think it's going to be.
Yeah, huge deal to have it in the Charlotte, North Carolina area. Looking forward to that. A big week of racing here in Charlotte. Well, everybody is chasing that trophy and the title of champion, and they're chasing Steven Wilson, one of the best to ever do it. We caught up with the champ at Media Day to see what he's been up to and how he's going to get title number 3.
I can get to 4. I feel like I should be at 3 based on 2024. Pretty close with that one. So 2 firsts and a second, and then obviously we're on the streak right now of making every live event for the championship 4. So hopefully I just keep that going. And as long as I keep this streak going, I think I can have 2 more in me. I think I got some time, some years left. My family is super important to me, and I love each and every one of them. So spending all my life with them has been great, and they've supported me. You know, when I was younger, my mom used to tell me, like, why are you on the computer all the time, this, that, and the other, and now I think she understands it. She's happy, and she sees how much success I've had and what it's gotten me in life so far. So I think just they understand now that, you know, how far it goes. People are watching, got an audience, you know, the championships, and now getting a job off of it in the real world too. They see how far it can go. I'd like to think I'm still the same person. I just like to have fun. You know, my saying has been hopes and dreams. You know, I moved down here, didn't know I was going to get a job when I was first planning on moving down here, but hopes and dreams have kind of carried me and been my saying over the past few months of just, you know, if you believe in something, you can go chase it. And I think right now that's still my goal. You know, I don't want to just be a sim guy for 1 year, 2 years. I want to just keep doing this and keep evolving and learning my craft and just making myself better every day. So I started working as a sim driver for Spire Motorsports starting this year, and it's just been great. It's kind of right place, right time. You know, they wanted a sim guy, and I was on the team last year for our Coke stuff, and that relationship has evolved to being a sim driver and kind of learning what they do every week. We have so many teammates, so many guys doing runs, and we can look at each other's data and, you know, inputs and kind of base what's good off of each other and kind of bounce ideas. And we have all these telemetry and all this stuff to work on setups and make everything picture perfect, since we have 2 weeks usually before races, sometimes just a week, but we are continuously working on just making everything perfect, since we have unlimited testing time. And, you know, when you show up to the racetrack, everybody's so close in this next gen era, so you got to be on top of your game right now, because everyone's fighting for every spot they can get as early as they can get it. You got so many aero things that you got to think about when you're racing other cars, and our races aren't terribly long usually, so you got to fight for everything you can get. And if you qualify bad, you're just at a horrible disadvantage to start, and you're just upset with yourself. And then you go into the race and everyone's kind of leaning on each other, taking, you know, all their anger out on everyone else on the racetrack. So it's hard to be patient. You just got to trust the process, though. You know, it just, things can evolve, you know, strategies can play out, and you just got to take what it can give you, and it's not always about winning every single race sometimes.
Everyone going after him. We'll introduce you to the field throughout the show, but there's some new teams here in the championship series. Ryan, tell us about it.
Absolutely. One of those new teams is a real-life team jumping into the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series, and that is Rick Ware Racing. They've hopped in, and they're hopping in with a vengeance here. They picked up Garrett Maines and Daniel Falkingham, two proven winners here in the championship series, and I honestly look for them to contend and honestly be one of those playoff drivers. But James, we have another new team as well.
Another new team that has real-life ties, albeit a little bit different. TC Esports joins the Series 3 2026. If you're wondering where the TC comes from, it's the initials of Thibaut Courtois, who's the goalkeeper for Real Madrid and the Belgian national team. He'll be at the World Cup in a few weeks, but he's a big-time sim racer when he's not playing soccer. And they have signed Jake Nichols, who has experience in the Coke Series before, and Matthew Morton, who's a little bit better known for his exploits in the eNASCAR College iRacing Series, but a mix of new blood and experience for the new team representing the Belgian #1 goalkeeper. How neat.
Very cool crossover there. Love the new names, love the teams, love the drivers that have entered this series. Some of the established teams, though, guys, they went through free agency, and there are some shakeups. James, I'll start with you. What is the biggest free agency move heading into 2026?
I think you have to look at Christopher Money Hill being one of the big-time pickups for William Byron Esports. He and Tucker Minter have been friends for a long time. And even when we talked to Tucker, even though when they were on different teams in the past, you could tell that those two were sort of attached to the hip. So now that they are together under the same roof, with the same group, with the same people, and with the support of William Byron, you know, Nick Ottinger was there for a long while, did some pretty good stuff, only won a championship in 2020. I think this has the potential to be a very potent combo that absolutely can, and I think should challenge for the team's championship.
Willie B gets a new driver. Ryan, what team are you looking at? Biggest move of the offseason?
Absolutely, and I'm not looking at one driver. I'm looking at one whole team here. I'm looking at Junior Motorsports. Junior Motorsports reloaded with Zach Novak and Malik Ray. If you were to look at a team that's going for the franchise, this is it. Malik Ray, obviously huge name in sim racing, huge following online, and you have Zach Novak. A perennial contender, a guy who's been in this for years now, a past champion. So this is a team I look at really when it comes to making moves, both on the sim, in the points, but also being in the mix of the storylines a little bit. We know Malik isn't afraid to ruffle some feathers.
Yeah, looking forward to that. I'm looking at a team that was already good last year, Kanan Esports. I think they made the biggest move of the offseason by signing Seb Marin. If you watch the qualifying series, you know Sebastian Marin was the #1 driver you wanted out of free agency. Multiple wins for Seb in the qualifying series, and he's now able to join Kanan Esports, teaming up with Vicente Salas. Vicente Salas was a Championship 4 driver last year. To have the backing of the Indy 500 champ, IndyCar champion and legend Tony Kanaan, and now you've added one of the best free agents out there who put the field on notice when everyone was watching him in the qualifying series. I think Seb Marin's going to do great things this year. Kanan Esports had the biggest move of free agency. for me. So those are some new faces in new places. Let's make some predictions, guys. James, we'll start with you again. What do you predict for this season?
If there is one date on the calendar that I am looking at for 2026, I'm looking at the penultimate race of the season. Yes, Kansas might be the final countdown, but here's the thing. Kansas has had some incredible races in Coke Series history, so my big prediction is that Kansas might just be the most exciting race of the entire campaign.
Ryan, what are you thinking?
Man, well, last year I doubted him, but this year I'm going to do the complete opposite. I think Steven Wilson is going to get his third eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Championship Series championship. And the reason is we're entering the era of Steven Wilson dominance. He's proved that the last few years, there's no reason why it doesn't continue in 2026.
Going for a third. We'll see, because my prediction is Kanan Esports wins the title. One of the drivers, either the veteran Vicente or the rookie, shocks everybody, Sebastian Marin, and goes and gets that driver's title. That's what I'm predicting. They're going to have a heck of a schedule to do it through. James, want to go over it for us?
Yeah, we've got a whole slate of fantastic races lined up for the 2026 Coke Championship Series. We start at Charlotte, then we go to Echo Park down in Georgia and Iowa to wrap up segment 1. Segment 2, Dover, Mexico City on the road course, and then the oval, or rather rectangle, at Indianapolis. Segment 3, Nashville Superspeedway, Richmond Raceway, Daytona to close out the regular season, Michigan, Texas, and Kansas in the playoffs, and then the finale, per tradition, live for the NASCAR Hall of Fame, back at Homestead Miami Speedway to crown a champion of the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Cup.
Just a few months away, but it all starts tonight. Ryan, tell us about this beautiful track here in our backyard.
Absolutely here. I love this track, and I'm excited to talk about it here on the Logitech G track analysis. We're heading to Charlotte Motor Speedway, 1.5 miles, 24 degrees of banking in the corners, and we know how wide that groove likes to get. This place opened in 1960, and the last time we raced here, Tucker Minter took home the crown.
Tucker Minter, now the veteran for William Byron Esports. Let's get one more thought before we go into this race. This is a longer race, James. What do you think that means for the competition to start off this championship season?
I think this goes one of two ways. It could go like what we saw in 2020 when Colin Keister was able to stretch it out on pit strategy and go get the checkered flag by managing fuel better than everybody else. We also could see a race like we saw a few years ago where we get a late caution that sets up a flurry of late race restarts and creates a whole lot of chaos at the end. I think we get one of those two, which might just have to flip a coin for.
We're looking forward to it. Ryan, this track, it looks like some others, right? The D-shaped oval, but every one of them is unique into its own. What makes Charlotte difficult for a driver?
Well, we hit at it at the top of the show, right? This place is difficult. There's a lot of bumps. There's a lot of character to this racetrack. And as iRacing continues to update this track, update its surface, it only gets harder to drive. So I'm super excited to see how these guys adapt to the changing conditions, manage their tires, manage their strategy, and we'll see who comes out on top to kick off the season.
Can't wait. It's a short season. Wins still mean everything here in the championship series. It's all about getting that $100,000 and the Dale Earnhardt Jr. trophy and calling yourself champion. The eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Championship season starts right after this.
The engines roar, the crowd screams, and the day is set to perfect. A celebration of life, liberty, and the pursuit of speed.
Lucky to do this thanks to all the people that sacrificed for it.
That's why we stand with pride and reverence to celebrate the men and women whose sacrifice and commitment makes our pursuit possible. Together with Coca-Cola, NASCAR salutes.
Racing isn't just a game. It's a way of life. Every lap, every moment. Practice is about consistency. Winning doesn't come easy.
Yo! My turn, Bubba.
Feel the road. Own the race. Logitech G wheels and pedals available now on Amazon.
I'd like to buy America.
Quentin Warman, highlighting as your champion of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing qualifying series.
Every single moment, caught up in the motion, got no use for caution. Hope you're ready for a fight. I believe it, I can see it. If it's in my sights, I achieve it. Ain't no leaving, no defeat it. Show up, complete and repeat it. I believe it, I can see it. If it's in my sights, I achieve it. Ain't no leaving, no defeat it. Show up, complete and repeat it. Every day, prove that game. I always go 100%. Start to end. Every day, prove that game. I always go 100%. Start to end.
The road to $500,000 starts anew as we kick off the 17th season in series history. Tonight, from iRacing's virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway, we say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Championship Series. This is the Coca-Cola 160. Well, it feels like we just did this a couple of weeks ago. Now we do it for real. The qualifying series has come and gone, and the 40 best drivers on the planet ready to do battle with $100,000 going to our champ. And as always, happy you're part of it with us here on the iRacing Esports Network. With myself, Evan Pasocco. As always, we've got Kenneth Bueno and Alan Cavana with you. And KB, instead of coming to us from Bueno World headquarters, you're coming to us from the iRacing office. Happy to have you back for another season, and really a new type of season. We haven't seen this before. Shortest schedule ever, compressed in with qualifying, sharing the calendar year. May give us more question marks coming into a year today than maybe we've had in quite some time.
And Evan, a brand new opening host. Never has an eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Championship Series season kicked off in a place other than the World Center of Racing in Daytona. Charlotte was one of the best races last season. Many lead changes, strategy, multiple lines, and tire wear. So, Alan, in the course of this, it's a brand new start with the new format the drivers had to get in this series with. Joining those who qualified from last season, it's a brand new, fresh slate for everyone tonight.
Fresh slate, fresh faces. I'm so excited to see some of these names that came through the qualifying series having to go through that gauntlet, and I am particularly looking at Sebastian Mayer, and he's teamed up with Tony Kanaan Esports. He had multiple wins in the qualifying series. What's he going to do now that he's in the championship?
Well, let's talk about that. Two new teams join the roster of 20. That mean all 40 drivers are assigned to an official team. Now, most of the returning teams kept either their full or a partial driver lineup, KB, but that's not the case when you take a look at the new teams on the block. It's a Chevrolet entry for Rick Ware Racing and the Toyota Racing entry of TC Esports.
Yeah, Rick Ware Racing, one of the NASCAR teams in real life. Carson Ware getting a huge role in bringing this team to eNASCAR, and they have loaded with a pretty stacked lineup. Garrett Maines has won before in this series. So has Daniel Falkingham. Both of those bow tie Chevrolets going to be on it to try and bring that team a team title and possibly a driver's title. And TC Esports, on behalf of the Real Madrid goalkeeper Thibaut Courtois, joining sim racing with Matthew Morton and Jake Nichols. Jake Nichols making his first Coke Series championship start in a little while. He's been in this series before. And Matthew Morton, rookie this season. Going to be fun to see those two teams square off.
And because qualifying took up the first couple of months of the year, Alan, this is the most compressed schedule we have ever seen. Only 13 weeks between now and a championship finale at Homestead come October.
It's going to go by so quickly. And look at the diverse racetracks we go to. Charlotte, Echo Park, and then the short track in Iowa. Segment 2 gives us Dover, Mexico City, and Indianapolis. Segment 3, Nashville, Richmond, Daytona. Then the playoffs begin. That 2-miler in Michigan, the 1.5 miles in Texas and Kansas. And, of course, our live finale back at the Homestead Miami Speedway, live from the NASCAR Hall of Fame. That's where a champion will be crowned. You don't have much time to get there, though. That's why every race is important.
Well, there's a look at some of the drivers that will be riding on board. With 40 drivers enter tonight with a chance at becoming your champion. We will whittle that down between now and October 13th when the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Cup is handed out, and we crown what would be the 17th champion in series history. We went through a period where it was first-time champ after first-time champ after, well, you get the idea. However, we're in the Steven Wilson era. He's won 2 of the last 3 titles. Could a face on that screen challenge him? Step number 1 to finding out starts tonight. Let's go trackside and take a look at your Coca-Cola starting grid. And it is Bobby Zelensky for the ERA Esports team on pole. He's joined by the FTRXL eRacing number 14 to set the merchant on row number 1. Tucker Minter with William Byron Esports once more, going to be alongside Connor Urashak in the Latard Esports 40 on row 2. Vicente Salas and TK Esports starts 5th with Christopher Hill in the number 6 spot. And then Steven Wilson, your defending champ, next to the Jim Beaver Esports 5 and 8 stewards on row 4.
And Junior Motorsports with one of their new drivers for 2026, Zach Novak, 2019 Champ Series champion, with Donovan Strauss returning for Williams F1 Team Gaming in his Chevrolet. Casey Kerwin re-ups with Kansas City Pioneers inside of row number 6. In 11th place, Blaze Crawford on the outside of him for Team Dillon Esports in 12th. Parker White, former series champion back in 2024, back with Williams again in 13th. Ryan Doucette making his 57th career Coke Championship Series start from 14th. Dylan Alfrehayak Motorsports inside the top 15. On the outside of him through row number 8 is Wyatt Tinsley, back in the series for the first time since 2024.
And the Rick Ware Racing team gets their start tonight with Garrett Maines, who rolls from the number 17 spot. He's next to the TC Esports 35 of Matthew Morton. Going to be some new colors on row 9. Red number 10, we'll see the Latard Esports 36 of Thomas Lloyd, next to the BS Competition 89 machine of Jordy Lopez in P20. Row 11, it's the RFK 17 to Sean Conklin, and the Channel 199 Sim Racing entry of Blake Reynolds. And then behind them, it is Daniel Falkenham and Dylan Basin, row 12.
Through row 13, several Chevrolets in this one. Malik Ray for Junior Motorsports. 26 going to the Vegas Inferno, number 21 of Michael Guest. Quentin Warman in his second Coke Championship Series season is 27. Tommy Gossett as a rookie on the other side of the Vegas Inferno team is 28th. And 29th going to Jake Nichols, making his first start in the Coke Championship Series in a little while for the TC Esports Group. Femi Olatunbosin, part of the team championship for Spire Motorsports, is in 30th. Seth Knoll, his first Coke Champ start, begins tonight, 31st with E-Racer. Cody Bies for the Apex Racing team on the outside of row 16.
Continuing on through, you get to this point in the field, drivers not taking times in qualifying from Marin on back. So Keister qualifies on speed 33rd, and Sebastian Barron, some work to do at Kadan Esports. He's on the outside there in row 17. Then provisionally qualified, Garrett Maines for BS Competition, Dylan Duvall in the Channel 199 machine, the FTRXL 12 Alusa, the ERA Esports 34 of Michael Cousy Jr., the E-Racer 42 of Logan Helton, and Kenny Brady. Those bottom 6, no times in qualifying, and they will start from the back based on a provisional order. So that's a little top to bottom at your Coca-Cola starting grid here for the Coca-Cola 160, the longest race of the season. That's been a tradition over the course of the last couple of years, but Kenneth, you made the point right off at the top. We have not seen any track not named Daytona International Speedway be a season opener. And not only did Tucker Minter win this race last year, he also won the second longest race of the year when we went racing in Rockingham. So he may be somebody to look for when we talking about long races. That applies here tonight. Let's go back to Alan Cabana. He's got our pulse hitter dialed up on the radio.
Well, Bobby Zelensky, if there's any place you want to start off a new championship season, it's on the pole. But to do it at a track like Charlotte, knowing there's so many laps ahead of you, what's that mean to start for your season?
Yeah, it's actually pretty cool. I don't think I got a pole position last year, so we're already starting off a little more interesting. But yeah, I was telling Justin in the off season I need to get my qualifying sorted, so good way to start it. We just got to do it 12 more times, got to win some races, got to win championship, all that good stuff. So long way to go, but those are the goals.
You are a staple in the championship 4. To start your season off like this while you're still pursuing that title, what keeps you hungry? What keeps you motivated?
I don't know. I mean, it's just what I do. I mean, it's what I'm best at. I'm a wheelman. I wish I could race in real life and on the sim, but we're on the sim for now, and it's just the best competition you get, and I get a kick out of it. I'll feel a little bit of nerves like the morning of, like this today, and then the moment qualifying goes, it's gone, and I'm just having fun and trying to be the best.
We know it's a long race. We know the bumps on the track. What's your biggest challenge tonight?
Keeping the tires on it. I think throughout the field you're going to see a lot of people, if we get some long runs, which hopefully we do. We have 160 laps here. Get some long runs, you're going to see a lot of comers and goers, a lot of people that don't know how to save their right rear and are going to fall back. So that's going to be my goal. Just keep the right rear on it, keep the track position, and be there at the end to win this thing.
Bobby Z, good to have you back. Have fun tonight.
Thank you.
Well, he was correct on the stat. No polls for Bobby in 2025. He'll kick off 2026 with 1. Let's take a look. Race number 1, KB, with our Coca-Cola race analysis.
And like you said, it is the longest of the season. 160 laps here from the Queen City, 240 miles. Pit road speed limit was a kind of a big thing in last season's race where strategy was involved under the green flag. We may see some of that tonight. 4 tire sets available for the drivers. That mattered a ton to get Tucker Minter up in the front of that latest run. It was old tires versus new tires, and the pit window, we should see that come around lap 58 to 62. That is, of course, if we go green. Charlotte's been known to be kind of treacherous through all the bumps and how difficult it is to drive, so maybe something to watch for our race analysis once they get the green flag.
Bobby Zalenski leads all active drivers with 6 career appearances inside of the Championship 4. He's the 3rd winningest driver in series history. It's 2026 his year. He's going to be the one that brings us to the green flag. We're happy that you're a part of this with us on the iRacing Esports Network at eNASCAR.com as we get set for year 17 of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Championship Series. Pace car down and in. The baton is handed to Bobby Zalenski. Let's go racing at Charlotte. Zalenski clear. He'll slide up and clear of the 14 on the outside. Down the back straightaway. Up to speed to 3 and 4. 2 wide, maybe 3 wide there for a moment around the number 12 spot. But up front, Zalenski breaking free as your leader. Will lead at the end of 160 laps to go. Now dropping down to 159. A long way from home, but we are off and away.
We saw a lot of drivers already trying to use that inside to their leverage. You see that blue and white paint, you can get an extra grip down there if you get the left side tires on it nicely. But again, hard to separate these first few laps. Tires are cold, car is still heating up to its optimal temperature on the shoes underneath. So you're gonna have the lines kick in later in the run. For right now, everyone's stuck to the bottom using the draft to their advantage. And some drivers already making a move up. That includes defending champion Steven Wilson, looking at a good battle in front of him through the top 10.
So much of this looks like Sunday racing, where the further you get back, the tougher it gets with the competition. We're seeing 3 wide out here at Charlotte, but Steven Wilson already looks like a man on a mission in 9th place right now, trying to get that start for his 3rd title, but he's chasing big part of the field right now, including the last time we were here, the winner, Tucker Minter, already out front, made a pass for the lead.
And Tucker Minter got the win here as well as that Rockingham win by being the best on the long run. One thing I'm noticing as well, you see it on the 3, you see it on the 16. I also saw it in Dillon. Look at the nose on a bunch of those cars down on the bottom. There's a lot of front end damage on about a half a dozen race cars. So some sort of big checkup on the start has damaged a handful of drivers who started in those odd-numbered positions and were lined up on the inside for the initial start of the race. And for a long race, front-end damage going to be concerning when you talk about temperatures on those cars. Something to keep an eye on. Early damage for a lot of drivers.
Yeah, when you get the clean air on the front end of the race car, it's obviously fresh, it's obviously good on temperature, so the engine keeps cool throughout the run. But when you get that damage, it obviously punctures into the radiator, so all that clean air is going into now an overheating engine. And by the way, guys, it had started with Steven Wilson on lap number 1. Everyone was eager to get going through the initial start. Once that green flag came out, around where Nate Stewart and Wilson were, everybody had stacked up. And so not only do you have front end nose damage for a lot of drivers, Garrett Maines with hefty rear end damage on the bumper. So you have to watch for that. Rear downpour is going to be big when the tires wear down over the course of the race.
A lot of an early statement right now from William Byron Esports, running first and third. Christopher Money Hill back on the team, back in the series, the Tennessee Vol, putting on a good show right here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Early on, moving up a few positions already, and just in front of him, the Tony Kanaan Esports driver, Vicente Salas, a Champ 4 driver last year, guys. And we are seeing some of the best already running out front and trying to make a statement and say something as early as they can in this season.
So after Zelensky went out and led the opening 2 laps, it has been Minter since, but Salas to second, Hill to third, so Bobby sliding down to the number 4 spot. As other drivers want to put the pressure on early in this race. We talked about the checkup and some of the issues for the cars on the bottom. Worth noting, all 40 drivers did make it to the grid. All 40 cars are on the racetrack at the moment. Dropping it back to the midfield where the first bit of excitement is. This is low 20s. You're looking at the 66 machine in the mix there. That's Sebastian Marin, the 16 with a bit of damage as well of Ryan Doucette. All of this going on around the number 20 spot. Here's a bottom look. And there is that big stack up on the inside lane that was coming to the green. And again, about a half a dozen race cars total get damage in that one. Nobody is pulled to pit road yet, but again, keep an eye on those drivers as this race goes on.
It's what Bobby Zelensky mentioned in our pre-race interview there before the green flag. What Steven mentioned, during eNASCAR Media Day, is track position, track position, track position. And if you don't qualify well, you have to overcompensate for that in being aggressive, especially at the start. If you can pick off at least a position or two in the first handful of corners, it can make a monumental difference into the way you play the rest of the run as it unfolds under green. So for those drivers, they were all anticipating, eager to get going, antsy to get ahead of the other drivers. All of a sudden you had those checkups, and now some drivers damaged as a result.
Yeah, and this battle here that we're watching, so interesting. This is Sebastian Marin. Talked a lot about him on Countdown to Green. Maybe the best driver out of the qualifying series, guys. I mean, he had 3 victories in that series. Now he has to make his name here in the championship series. Started far back in this race, and he's battling some other rookies here. That was just Dylan Basin, another great driver in the qualifying series that he went by. But Sebastian Marin with Kanaan Esports going 3 wide on the outside of turn 2 at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Maybe he kissed the wall just a little bit. Not afraid to be aggressive. We know he has talent, but it is a whole other ballgame when you are up here in the championship series with this veteran drivers. He is not shying away at anything right now, even if he has to make up some ground.
Yeah, Charlotte wasn't the exact track he named when asked what tracks he was looking forward to the most, but his 2 answers were intermediate racetracks. So one would assume, even if this is not his favorite of those, that this is a place that he feels like he could be good in, and that's backed up by the fact that he won at a different intermediate racetrack in the qualifying series in Vegas. So Marin up 14 positions early. Keep an eye on the 66 to try to continue that forward progress. Just behind him, 3 wide off of turn number 4. Car on the way outside there. I think that was the 16 of Doucette. Now, he's one of the cars with damage. Started this race in 14th spot. He is down to 29th. You see front end damage on a car a little bit further up the road. That's the 95 of Parker White. Started 13th, down to 24th. To me, once you get at 2 or 3 drivers with the damage and down a bunch of spots, here's another one. Blaze Crawford started 12th, 22nd. There's front-end damage on that Six Flags Coca-Cola Chevrolet. I think that is enough evidence to show how much those drivers who got the damage are clearly struggling.
And when you find yourself with a bit of that front-end nose damage, whether it be directly in the center, like we're seeing with a lot of the drivers in this race, or whether it be on the right front tire and around that fender, this car handles like a boat. It does not want to turn in the corners, and then couple that with the dirty air that the drivers are experiencing when they're in the mid-pack. it just bands together to create possibly the perfect storm for the worst driving car of all time. And then you have to figure out how to get around that and be able to just nurse this car to, at what point could be the first yellow. But now the drivers are thinking further ahead with their teams. If this goes green all the way until the end of the first run and drivers have to pit under green, how much time they're going to lose just trying to repair those cars. And again, those are very big hitters, especially with Parker White. Performed well here at Charlotte, ran for the win last season.
We mentioned the Six Flags colors are on the Coca-Cola Chevrolet tonight of the driver of that number 3 machine. Things not currently going how they were planned, but Blaze Crawford going to try to bounce back in this one. Coca-Cola and Six Flags have been partners for over 50 years. And this year, they're excited to team up to provide lunch for the Gold Star families, with loved ones being honored on race cars and support vehicles as part of the 600 Miles of Remembrance at the Coca-Cola 600 this weekend. Six Flags is honored to be a part of helping host an important lunch for those families and to show up for all families and fans tuning in this weekend. Coca-Cola and Six Flags are excited to offer up to 50% off select tickets this summer. You can go to sixflags.com to learn more, and reminded that Six Flags has parks across the United States, Canada, and Mexico. So a fun celebration, and again, Blaze Crawford not getting what he wants right now in the number 27 spot representing Team Dillon Esports, but a long way to go, hoping to get those Six Flags colors back up to the front.
This is the driver that finished 16th back in his rookie race here in 2025. And what an interesting combination that Team Dillon Esports group, with Crawford returning, made his announcement on one of our qualifying series broadcasts, and joining the likes of Kenny Brady, two drivers that have known each other for over 10 years, racing in real life in legend cars and bandoleros. I think that's cool for the story of their team that will unfold over the later portions of the season. I think, guys, at the moment, James Pike from our Countdown to Green crew has it locked in. William Byron Esports 1-2. Christopher Hill making his way over to second, and Tucker just turning the page like he did from Charlotte last season, holding on to the lead and not looking back.
There's a good look at both of those drivers representing William Byron Esports, and maybe the veteran prowess, I'll say, of Tucker Minter. Allen, he hasn't been around for that long, but he's already, a multi-time race winner. He has 2 multi-race win seasons under his belt already, hoping that some of that can rub off on Christopher Hill.
And Championship 4 experience. And even though Tucker Minter is young and relatively still new, the experience, these two as friends, as teammates, do have a lot of experience together. At one point, Christopher Hill was serving as Tucker's crew chief, spotter, helping him out. But now they are officially teammates for one of the best drivers in NASCAR on Sundays, who clearly supports what we do here down in iRacing and the esports side of things. William Byron with a lot of experience on that end. So to have a formidable team like this, Tucker Minter and Christopher Hill, it's already paying off the way they are running 1-2. They just have to close it out right now.
Two very different, I don't know if it's like a batting stance we can call it. Every time we get these, we always joke about some of the leans. Christopher leans forward in his seat. Tucker very noticeably leaning in the direction that he wants that car to rotate, and he's got his teammate chasing him down right now with those William Byron Esports Chevrolets running in first and second position, dropping it back to the number 66 machine, who's kind of been back in this midfield every time we take a peek back there, and it's Sebastian Barron, who is still one of your biggest movers in the field right now. He is up 16 positions. That's bested only by Keister at plus 19 and Dylan Duval at plus 24. So some drivers taking advantage of being aggressive early in the longest race of the year, where a lot of drivers have said patience is going to be the key to success.
I'm sure some of those drivers 16th or 18th are telling themselves, hey, I've seen you around before. They were just around in the qualifying series a few weeks ago trying to get into this championship series format. Marin, and then on the inside, the 17 RFK Racing Ford of Sean Conklin with Quentin Warman not too far behind either, and a great battle for mid-pack position. And give credit to Sebastian Marin. There was some doubt over the course of the late portion of the qualifying series how he dominated in the trucks and O'Reilly portion, but in the Cup Series next-gen part, did well, but just didn't have the luck, maybe in some places didn't have the speed outright to dominate, but now doing a great job of weaving through the field in his first race.
We here's a look at your highest running rookie in the field. Matthew Morton with TC Esports. He made one start last year as a reserve driver and got an incredible 16th place finish in that appearance at Dover. It was the highest finish that any reserve driver got all season long, tied the best with what Wyatt Tinsley had done in the Talladega race, and he is picking right up where he left off. Now qualified in full time in a rookie campaign and running inside of the top 13.
It's such a great story for Matthew Morton, one of those drivers who, through the advent of the free agency period, didn't get a full-time seat, but was able to offer his reserve services over the course of the tenure. So you still do get a lot of experience working with the teams, working with the drivers that ultimately are giving the info of what's going on in these championship series races every week. So to see Matthew finally get in on a full-time capacity, that's great. And obviously to represent a new team, you want to give the new team entering the series a fresh start. You want to give them some positive momentum, especially in these first few. Morton already making his way up through the field, and top 15 for TC Esports with that 35 entry, so a good look for them early on.
And we saw a change for second place. We talked to Bobby Zielinski. He was on the pole for this race right before the race started. And he said his challenge would be keeping the tires under him, making good on a long run. He seems to be getting faster, better on this long run, 27 laps in as we watch Vicente Salas go up the track a little bit. Maybe this track is widening out just a little bit, guys, in the corners for a second groove there. But everybody looking for a little speed and clean air here in Charlotte.
Remember, he had fallen all the way down to the number 4 spot after the first opening laps. He led the first 2, but he has since climbed his way back up and into that number 2 spot, as you just mentioned. Christopher Hill now down in 3rd, Vicente Salas in the number 4 spot, and now Seth the Merchant, last driver running inside of the top 5. Well, it's the start of a new season, but it's going to come quickly. So to stay up to date with everything, go to iRacing.com/eNASCAR to get more information on the drivers, the teams, and the series standings as we work our way towards the playoffs and a championship 4 finale where the driver champion, again, going to walk away with $100,000. 28 laps in the books here at Charlotte. Let's give you your first iRacing full throttle of the season. One of those shots was a nice 3-wide move by that man right there. Casey Kerwin was in the middle of it. I don't know if he was the instigator, but he was in the hot seat, center of it all. In the 24 Coca-Cola Chevrolet, somebody else working with front-end damage from the stack-up of the green flag in the race. He has dropped 6 spots, and the winner of that was Michael Cozy Jr. Mentioned Duval's spots picked up, Keister's, Marin as well, but Michael Cozy Jr. now up 22 positions. He did not qualify, took 38th on the grid. He has driven his way all the way up to the number 16 spot and is just ahead of that battle for what is going to be 18th position on back. I mean, this midfield, we're 34 laps into a run. They have not spread out at all. The leaders have gotten a single file. That's about the top 16 or so. But then when you get from this point on back, I mean, got probably 8-9 cars within a half a second of each other.
Yeah, this is really the cream of the crop at the front of this field trying to get forward, and then obviously that blend point, right, of all the drivers that have tried to save as much tire as possible, catching up to those, and then the mix of those drivers with all of that damage. And what you're watching is kind of a methodical approach of the way the drivers are using their lines. By now, the middle and the high sides have started to come in, so they've become a lot more potent as the race has developed. You'll see sometimes drivers get up to the left side quarter panel of a driver, try to get them a bit loose and get the air off of the rear spoiler, and then have an open door to move by. It's been fun to watch all of those drivers get into it like that.
We just mentioned some of those positions gained, and Duval now at 24 positions up, but continues to be the biggest charger now by just 1 spot over Cozy. Now mark at 2 as he gets the better run on the outside and clears the number 35 machine, Matthew Morton. This battle ongoing is for the number 11 spot on the racetrack. On board with Duval, back with Channel 199 Sim Racing, the track racer machine. It's out in front of the number 35 machine, Morton, for the time being. Now the 35 back down to the inside. 2 very different approaches in this battle. It's going on about 3 seconds total off of what may soon be the battle for the lead. Zelensky trying to get back up to the top spot in which he started this race, has closed the gap down to about a half a car length in the battle for P1.
The way he's been able to save tires over the course of that run, and as you saw, he dropped off significantly, guys. He went to the back end of the top 5. He was hanging around there, let the William Byron Esports Chevrolets take advantage early on, but this is where the money is made, figuratively and literally, especially in races like these. We talk about how different this opener is from all the other ones. It's no longer a wild card to Super Speedway. Strategy and discipline matter so much, and that's why you're seeing some of the best experience at the head of this field, including Zelensky and Tucker Minter. And surprisingly, Zelensky has used the bottom to save the tires for most of the run, hasn't experimented with those higher lanes, but he's a bit faster still.
This is a great performance out of the gate from Bobby Z, right? We think of him as the road course racer, guaranteed to get a win, show up there in the playoffs, but to hone down his skill on these ovals. We've seen it before. He's a veteran, but to start off the season this way, long way to go in this race, but a statement on the pole, and now coming back and looking like he's about to make the pass for the lead on Tucker Minter and go back to the lead. Bobby Z. It's a battle, but an excellent start for the driver for ERA Sports.
I believe about 9 of his career race wins have come on the ovals, so almost a perfect split across the road courses and the ovals. Of course, he's also had a lot of that oval success on the super speedways as well. He won when we did the road course here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway a couple of years ago, but is now back on top. So 37 laps led consecutively for Tucker Minter. That will go to the wayside with now Zelensky cycling through and taking the race lead away from the number 97. So now that Bobby's got the clean air, is he going to run away? Or will the 97 be able to match pace and hang there with him? It is not also the most positions gained, but I think it's topical to mention that Donovan Strauss is now inside of the top 5. He is quietly worked his way around guys like Novak, Stewart, Wilson, Salas, and Urashak, and is within a second of the leader. So Strauss might be one of the better cars amongst those top 5 on speed at this point in the run.
And he's one of those drivers as well that has historically performed well at some of the mile and a halves. 12th year last season, though he started 7th back in 2024 and then had a poor finish then. But a driver whose only career Coke Championship Series win was at Homestead Miami Speedway. Also a very difficult multi-groove, mile-and-a-half surface that tests the skill and discipline of drivers. So not surprised really to see Donovan Strauss be up here at the front. We know him and Parker White, the tandem, those two have been able to work well together over their series together, especially last season where Strauss caught a bit of fire later on in the campaign, but a good performance so far. And also drivers like Seth the Merchant moving his way into third. Haven't mentioned his name much all night long, but that 14 car weaving into the top 3. Some good long run pace from these drivers early.
Donovan Strauss just kissed the wall there a little bit, but he's one of those stories, guys, the sim to reality pipeline. Donovan Strauss, a truck series driver and also on the Cars Tour, so he's one of those that can do it all, and that the iRacing sim world has certainly helped in that journey for him.
But it's the Beefcakes 14 is Seth the Merchant. You can't miss that thing on the racetrack, and that Toyota on the inside, back around Tucker Minter. So your 1, 2, 3 starting order has been restored at the end of lap number 44. So Minter clearly on the backswing at the moment, falls down to the number 3 spot. Next up on deck would be either Hill or Yurashak in a battle for 4th. You can see them as you look off of the back of DeMerchant. Yurashak's going to get the run off of turn number 2. And Connor Yurashak now into the top 4. Back where he started, lost spots early, and is now starting to pick them off as we're in, I'll call it the back third or so of this fuel run. We gave you the number 58 to 62 laps or so. That would put this race into a 2-stopper conversation. We are going to be closer to the 1/3 marker before you hit the fuel number. That could give these drivers a little bit of wiggle room in terms of what strategy play and the exact numbers they want to execute on if we get to that point. But let's not jump the gun quite yet. Still some intense battles in the midfield that can get the blood pressure up this time. Looking at the pink 55, that's Daniel Falkenham.
Driver in a new team, new territory for 2026, alongside Garrett Main, someone who's also really fighting for his life at the exit of turn 4. A lot of these packs have developed in about 4 to 5 car groups, and all of them have been playing this aggressive game, trying here as the tires have fallen off to get a bit of an edge over the other. There was a send underneath by Dylan Basin in that Ford Mustang for RFK Racing, and up in front a TC Esports entry, that's Jake Nichols up in the front. So I mean, these drivers have spent a bulk of this time either trying to gain a little bit of track position or just stand out a little bit. And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some of these drivers at the back that we're watching right now try to short pit, go a little bit shorter on this run compared to other drivers, and then potentially maybe run it long for that last run if it stays green.
I love these battles because for months we've been watching the qualifying series, we've been watching the college series, and drivers sort of have their individual successes. Now they're all here in the championship series. We have rookies racing against veterans, but rookies who did very well in their respective series. What are they going to do now that they're here with some of the best of the best? We're seeing these battles open the stint of this race.
Bit of a scary moment. Dylan Basin got a little bit out of shape and dropped way back. He's got his land legs back under him and is engaging the 73 Nichols in a battle for 28, but a bit of a bobble sure spiked his heart rate a little bit. Again, these cars back in the 20s, they just can't get away from each other. Kerwin sees a Super.com sandwich right now as he's between the teammates of Garrett Mains in front of him, Daniel Falkenham behind him. They're rubbing doors at 184 miles an hour down to turn number 1. Casey Kerwin is not going to go quietly in this battle. 2022 series champion, and we jump things back towards the front. I mentioned Yurashak had made a move. Well, guess who followed him through? That was Steven Wilson. So now it's Yurashak up to 3rd, Wilson in the number 4 spot. They're fighting each other while maybe closing in on Zelensky and DeMerchant a little bit.
And these are two drivers, obviously, with the experience. Steven Wilson, obviously former series champion back in 2025. Connor Yurashak just wrapping up the eNASCAR College iRacing Series Championship not that long ago for the spring semester, and two drivers that have faced each other in the eNASCAR College iRacing Series before, but Stevens graduated, Yurashak is moving on, and two drivers who've been really strong early in this run, and especially Yurashak, someone who really lit up the scene very early in his 2025 campaign, and you know, eNASCAR College iRacing Series still going on in the Sim Racing Expo in Uptown Charlotte in the Charlotte Showdown race on May 24th. So this weekend's going to be fun for all the College Series drivers that are going to get a chance to show their skills. As here we go, all the drivers at the back, as I predicted, Evan, on pit road, trying to short pit on this first run.
Yeah, it's Colin Keister and Tommy Gossett on pit road. Basically right on the money at your 1/3 marker in this race. But again, you can go about an extra 10 laps from this point on fuel. So that wiggle room that I alluded to means that it may not just be everybody in and out in 4 laps and call it a deal. It's going to give these drivers an opportunity to space this out. And that is a bit of a concern sometimes when a green flag pit cycle is dragged out, because you're going to get a lot of drivers, fresh tires interacting with drivers on old, and obviously that can lead to some scary moments. Tucker Minter, your first top runner down pit road. He comes in from the top 5. Looks like Christopher Hill is also down pit road. Stewart, Novak, Duval, Kerwin also diving in.
And this is the mental part, the strategy part of racing and how some of these are won. We saw it throughout the qualifying series and talking to a lot of these drivers through just before the season started. Yes, there's a skill side, knowing all these tracks, but it's the mental side, the strategic side of nailing the perfect call at the right time that can really play a factor into who gets the checkered flag, who potentially gets the championship for, and when these pit stops happen and cooking it onto pit road, all those little mistakes can add up.
Got to be careful getting down pit road speed here at Charlotte, just 45 miles an hour, as you saw Urashek, Lopez, Conklin, Ray, Luza, Cozy down pit road that time, and more drivers lighting up the radio saying that they'll be coming in this time, but it's still not decision time for Zelensky. He, Wilson, DeMerchant, Strauss all stay out. Vicente Salas assumes the number 5 spot, but he's down pit road. Matthew Morton, Quinton Warman, Sebastian Marin all down to the pit lane this time. Cody Bias, the yellow and black car smoking the tires a bit, is also down.
It always takes that one driver to come in, whether it's in the back or not, that gives you an opportunity to tell yourself, all right, is it my time? Look at Malik Ray, big time save. Tires locking up. Those were all 4 tires not moving, stationary, sliding through, and again, maximizing every bit of an advantage you can squeeze out of this next-gen car. But at this point, you start to feel that calling card coming for you, and if other drivers are pitting around me, maybe it's my time, and depending on the driver's situation, it's going to matter a lot. Evan, I'm really concerned about the drivers with the damage on the front end of their race cars. How long are they willing to spend on pit road to repair the car, or if they're going to just have to handle a very ill machine at the expense of keeping their time up, which at the moment a lot of them are losing. And here comes the race leader, Bobby Zelensky, on pit road.
Yeah, it's an interesting question. So Zelensky's in, Tinsley follows. I'm just keeping a half eye on Dylan Basin. He's one of the cars with the damage. We're going to take a second look at his entry as he almost lost the back end of the race car. It's worth noting he did not spend any extra time on pit road getting the damage fixed. So I assume, and just a quick glance, there's not a single pit stop that's over 16 seconds. Nobody with the damage, Alan, under green flag conditions, allotting extra time for repairs, even if they have been apparently struggling. They are in and out because I think they just can't afford to get anything fixed when we're under green.
Yeah, I mean, the track position and the losses and the speeds, it happens so fast when it's under green. So interesting to see the last one staying out, our defending champion. Look at the lead he has right now because everyone else is trying to chase him down. But it's a teamwork going on right here. You see Steven Wilson, Femi Olot, the Spire cars running the similar strategy right now, being the 1-2 out there. Steven Wilson has had to work his way out to the front, and now he is setting his own pace and his own strategy, taking advantage of the clean air. As you see these cars back here, no clean airs. They're all back in this hornet's nest.
Not to mention, I was worried about when a pit cycle gets dragged out because look at the speed differential between the cars that have fresh tires and old ones. We're looking at about, we'll call it 7 drivers, make it 8, who have yet to come down to the pit lane. Garrett Lowe is one of them. The BS competition machine is in 3rd, and Steven Wilson in from the lead. Femi Olot's coming down. Is Lowe going to respond? He does not, and that will cycle the 99 car to the lead for the first time in this race.
It's a driver that did take victory lane here at Charlotte not that long ago, and probably one of the best series finishes you'll ever see at a very thin margin. I love the story of Garrett Lowe racing in real life now, the NASCAR Euro Series with that BS Plus competition group and the opportunities they have opened up for him, as well as trying to return him into the series like they do this year with Jordi Lopez. A stacked team among many that have re-upped both of their drivers. Not often do you see that in this series. Is all this happening in the middle of the group. He's got 3 wide, fresh tire cars around him. It is not going to be easy to get through all this traffic and stay afloat for the long run that he's trying to put on, and a car is going sideways right around him. It is his teammate that's going for the slight spill but saves it. Jordi Lopez, what a save.
Big moment there, and Seth the Merchant apologizing. Seth tried to make a move 3 wide, and it just happened where Lopez didn't really get in the way, but was 2 wide, left a bit of gap, and now look at that move onto the pit lane as Garrett Lowe hung the back end out, but I think he got it down in time, and he's got an early box as well. So Lowe forcing the issue, gets to the pit lane. That is going to make Seth Knoll your race leader. Let's take a second look at what happened with Jordi. There's Seth making the transition to the middle, but there just wasn't a full car length there, and I know it started with Seth, but I think he deserves a bit of credit because he got hard on the binders to give Jordi the space to save that race car.
Yeah, you can tell he didn't mean to do that at all. That was just a way to get around Garrett Lowe. They know the speed is different. They know they have fresh tires. They know they're going to get around Lowe very quickly. So you really have to just be careful. And for DeMerchant, just played it a little too close. Lopez probably didn't think that DeMerchant was going to go for the line. But props to Garrett Lowe as well. Not really doing much there, but kind of saving his teammate from the slight contact on the front end of the nose. So big time scare between the 2 BS Plus competition cars. And we get to roll green, and I'm really interested to see how these drivers on the longest run of the night are trying to play this. A lot of them, some of them with damage, but a lot of them hoping for that prayer to be answered of a yellow flag, which seemingly has not come yet.
I'm updating our numbers as we speak. We said roughly 58 to 62. These cars work in 65. It's important to just kind of keep an eye on how far Helton, White, and Alt can go to see if it affects some of the pit strategy with other drivers later in this race. Of course, if they wanted to one-stop it, you have to get all the way to lap number 80. Don't think we're going to be seeing that out of these 3, but again, if they can get up to 68 laps or so, that's worth noting. Parker White from second. He's down pit road. That leaves only Logan Helton and Dylan Alt yet to pit. Your net leader is now, though, Connor Urashak. So a change for position for what was the battle for third. Tucker Minter was the next guy, or the lead car who had pitted. Urashak just overtook him for position, which means that 40 car now primed up to cycle through to be our new leader when we get there.
Remember, you got to watch for Bobby Zelensky, the way he prompted up a long run car that was worthy of being in the race lead, catching up to all the drivers he had lost position to early. You know, I'd imagine with him on what is now 8 to 9 lap old tires, about 4 to 5 laps different than the rest of those drivers ahead of him. You know, that could be a big time situation. I think Minter kind of lost that fight a tiny bit with Urashak getting around. But he's still within range, that possibility of just trying to hang on with position, but not push yourself too hard as a driver when you know you've got those net cars in front of you. You don't want to waste it if this race continues to run the way it has.
Clock now ticks over to lap number 68. Helton now the lone driver who is yet to come down to the pit lane in this race, and there it is. So 68 is the number. He is down and in for service. He's in pit stall number 2. So he's really got to slow things down. Or I guess pit stop number 39, I guess, if you're counting backwards based on qualified position. So with that, the entire pit cycle has cycled through, and your new leader is the Latardi Sport Chevrolet of Connor Urashak. He will not get the lap led that time, or he does. Thought maybe Helton had got to him before the start-finish line. It is lap number 1 led for Urashak. So Minter second. It's going to be Bobby Zelensky in third. Now as we embark on the middle stint in this race, we'll see how these drivers can shake things out on the long run. Again, Tucker is universally known as one of, if not the best, on the long run. So Connor passed him early. We'll see if that's part of the 97's larger play to be the best car over the long run that he can be.
And this is the best part of it all on these mile-and-a-half tracks and wear out the tires and it being the opening race. You get to learn a lot, whether you're an experienced driver like Zach Novak or whether you are a rookie. Many of them that are in this field tonight, you get a proper idea of, okay, what went right in the first run? What went wrong in the second run? What can I do over the course of the race to make myself just a little bit better? Tucker Minter, possibly one of those drivers thinking wasted the stuff too early on, now try and use that long run pace and patience to his advantage here in the second.
Major lead there from Zach Novak, the Connecticut kid. New member of Junior Motorsports, running that stylized 8, a classic number on Sundays and throughout early 2000s NASCAR history. Everyone chasing the Dale Jr. Trophy at the end of this thing. But as someone from New England, guys, I am sometimes partial to the Connecticut drivers. Zach says his two favorite drivers on Sundays, Joey Logano, Ryan Preece. Connecticut.
Zach Novak won a championship here in the Coca-Cola iRacing Championship Series back in 2019. Would love to get back to the top of the mountain, and maybe no better organization to do it with than Junior Motorsports here in this series. We're 8 laps away from being halfway home in the Coca-Cola 160. You're watching the gap close quickly as Bobby Zalenski, who pitted 3 laps later than Connor Urashak did, so does have that slight tire advantage. And if you're racing hosted racing, 3 laps of difference probably doesn't make a ton, but when you're talking about pro championship level racing, yeah, that 3-lap difference is going to be noticeable. And Zalenski has been one of the fastest cars on the racetrack, inside of the top 7, we'll call it. So he's chasing him down. Is Urashak going to put up a fight, or does Zalenski get back to the number 1 position with relative ease? He's there now within a car length.
And this is where you're going to see, Evan, the biggest difference between last season's Charlotte race and this one here tonight. Because remember, that huge next-gen update that we had in the middle of the summer of 2025 affected the way the drivers handled the series, affected the way traffic developed over the course of a long green flag run. And that's the same here at Charlotte. Last season, we had about 4 to 5 cars packed together because they couldn't separate from each other. Now you added more dirty air. The new aero physics have allowed for a bit more of that separation, and that could go in the favor of Bobby Zalenski on the fresher tires. If he battles for Urashak a little bit, maybe that'll lose them some time, but it probably won't be enough to make it a 4 or 5 car group battling for the lead by the time it's all over, because if he gets in front, he can separate a lot more, make Urashak pay more for the decision of going a little bit earlier on tires, but still a bit of time for Zalenski to try and plan this move and find the line that works for him.
It's a beautiful line we're watching from Bobby Z. You can see it as they head off into the corner. He's just slightly higher toward the wall than Connor Urashak is, but then he makes that dive down to the blue line. It's almost like this diamond cut of a pass that he's trying to do as Connor Urashak drifts up the racetrack. Bobby Z able to keep it on the bottom there, and he's done it throughout the race. The longer the run goes, that's been a huge advantage, even if he loses a little ground now. It seems to be the longer he can go with it, the better his car is getting.
Also a shout out to ERA Esports, Zalenski, Michael Cozy Jr., both of them in the top 5.
One of our favorite things is checking in with some of the fun paint schemes these teams are doing, and that's a instantly rememberable one if you're a Travis Pastrana fan. The Jim Beaver Esports number 15 at Colin Keister running some Pastrana colors on his number 15 Ford here tonight. So Keister having a great night to boot as well, running in the number 11 position. He's got the JB15 running deep. He's got the t-shirt on. He is fully embraced with team owner Jim Beaver, who's done a lot for the not only the eNASCAR community, but as well as the short course community here on the iRacing service. It's always good to see them. And how about the defending paint scheme of the year champion? That needs to start being included in the stat packages. That's Nate Stewart, also with the Jim Beaver Esports machine. The Misadventure Ford Mustang Dark Horse is back. And good to see those colors returning here in 2026.
And both of them got the drip on. Evan, I think I want to have a shirt like that for myself. I mean, these two drivers going all in on the paint scheme, and I think it's going to be teammate versus teammate for that. And for Nate, a driver who, said, honestly, the anxiety's gone now after the first season of Coke Series competition, and with Paint Scheme of the Year, hopefully becoming Rookie of the Year, or Sophomore of the Year really for him in a 10-year season, as here comes Bobby Zelensky looking to the inside for the lead on Euroshack off 4.
Euroshack's been doing a great job of, I was going to say, making it look easy playing defense. That was a little bit more forward defensive moves as he went down to the bottom and tried to shut off Zelensky. Connor's just been running this perfect line, taking away the run off the corner. He's always had that advantage, and he's making Zelensky do it the hard way. If that 22 wants to get him, he's almost daring him that you got to go into the corner low, and you got to get up in front of me, or it's not going to happen. And that is going to make Zelensky work harder. It's going to eat away at those tires a little bit quicker. And I mentioned Zelensky had a 3-lap advantage on the tires. That is going to be evident, especially early in a run. But if you can get that guy to work just a little bit harder than he would want to for a couple laps, that could do just enough to heat those tires up and kind of equalize any disadvantage that you may have had. So that's the ongoing battle for the lead. You can see in the bottom of your screen the battle for 18th position as a couple of different drivers engaged in it. That's Sebastian Marin, Malik Ray. Some new faces, but even the returning faces have got some new colors, new sponsors. That's a good-looking 88 machine that Malik Ray is behind.
See, everyone has already drifted up that half lane, full lane on the racetrack. At this point, the bottom is going to be the place to be. That's where Zelensky makes his move, but he's going to crucially slide up in front of Euroshack to deal him some dirty air. Finally gets in front. Zelensky, after this long-awaited try to get to the top spot, finally does, with some great-looking race cars across the field. Honestly, this might be one of the best-looking Coke Championship Series fields I've seen in a long time, maybe ever. Just the way the teams, especially the new ones as well, have decked these cars out to look good, and the drivers showing out, doing all that they can tonight here at Charlotte just to gain a track position that is now harder to come by in the strategy.
Yeah, you wonder what's going through Seb Marin's mind right now in that 66 car for Kanan Esports as a rookie in this series, but coming off the qualifying series where he was able to get all those victories. New series of competition, new set of drivers and skills. He's made some ground up so far, but the passes here are just a little harder, right? The racecraft, everything you must do, it all just gets a little harder when you're facing the experience here in the championship series. But he's making his way. None of this stuff comes easy for anybody, and he's picking them off one by one.
Past halfway home now, one pit stop still to go in a race that has not yet had a yellow flag to kick off this championship series in 2026. We have had 7 different drivers lead laps in this race. Tucker Minter's 37 is the most out of them all, but right now Bobby Zelensky is in control. Coverage of tonight's season opener is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. By Logitech G, the official wheel and pedals of eNASCAR. By the Sim Racing Expo. From the Green Hell to the Queen City, the world's largest sim racing expo is racing into Charlotte this weekend. And by Six Flags. Coca-Cola and Six Flags have been partners for over 50 years, and this year they're excited to team up to provide lunch for the Gold Star families, with loved ones being honored on race cars and support vehicles as part of the 600 miles of remembrance at the Coca-Cola 600. Six Flags is honored to be a part of helping host an important lunch for these families and to show up for all families and fans tuning in this weekend. Coca-Cola and Six Flags are excited to offer up to 50% off select tickets for the summer. Go to sixflags.com to learn more. As a reminder, Six Flags has parks across the United States, Canada, and Mexico. Call it 30 laps or so away from the pit window opening for the final pit cycle in this Coca-Cola 600. As Bobby Zelensky was able to get to the lead and now boasting a 4/10 of a second lead. As we jump back to the 11th position on back, Colin Keister has been and still is one of your biggest movers in this race. 22 spots up, all under green, has him as the leader of this gaggle.
Just all in the motions here, these long lines of cars that are now pretty much even on pace. I like to consider this the hornet's nest of really any series, especially one as competitive as this. You've got all these drivers all in the midst of the same type of strategy, all in the midst of the same tire sets, and just looking for a way to get around the other and try and at least make up some ground on a front pack that has seemingly thinned out and pulled away in the same breath. Zach Novak making a move underneath, and some drivers that we haven't necessarily talked about too much. Quentin Warman, who stood out in the qualifying series not that long ago, and behind them Blake Reynolds, re-qualifying for the series for the first time since 2022 for Channel 199 Sim Racing. And then, of course, that Jim Beaver Esports car of Colin Keister making the playoffs last season with a win at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. We've got some great competitors in this quartet now fighting back to turn one.
We mentioned Blake Reynolds. There's an onboard look with the Channel 199 Sim Racing driver. Big swing it down to the inside, trying to get under the 50 of Quentin Warman and get number 13 spot. 3 wide. Keister was slow. The 86 has got a chance to clear 2 in one set of corners. He does. Great move for Blake Reynolds to go from the number 12 spot to, from 14th in a blink of an eye. And he'll now set his sights on the Junior Motorsports number 8 machine. That is Zach Novak in front of them.
I love the aggression we're able to see, back in the pack here, where we're seeing the give and take, if you will, of one pass and how it brings the pack back together and forces another one. I mean, to make 2 passes like that in one corner, you don't see it often, but these drivers are being able to make it stick on the bottom. We're seeing great racing here back in the pack. It's just a matter of being able to catch those leaders who are stretching it out. Bobby Zielinski now still with the lead.
We think about 160 laps as a pretty long race for iRacing standards. And, I was on social media earlier today and hearing guys like Zach Novak saying no way he can handle 600 miles in a cup car like the real-life drivers would do this weekend. But a lot of these drivers with kind of their bearings on them, a lot of hard work they're putting in, especially knowing they haven't had a chance to rest with this race going as long as it has under green.
We thought maybe with the format change and, historically, this series would run from the February timeframe all the way through, October, November on occasion. It was a long series. It was drawn out, and then they had the winter off. Thought maybe the qualifying series is in the spring for the drivers who did not have to go down there. Are they going to struggle at all? They're the best in the world, so maybe a silly question because they have been the dominant names for the most part, highlighted, of course, by Zielinski and Minter up front. There's Dylan Basin on board. Look for the RFK Racing driver in the number 25 position on the racetrack right now. He's just kind of been hovering around there all night long. Doesn't have any damage on that car. Has just kind of stayed out of a lot of the drama. And, if this was a Daytona, typical season opener location, maybe you take that top 25 spot and move on with it. But again, it is a new world without the plate track start. As we again jump around and take a look at a couple of these drivers now on board with Christopher Hill, who had been running inside, or is running inside of the top 5. So a couple of different looks throughout the field. We're about to hit lap number 100 in this race. We're at 65 to go. The longest run we saw out of anybody on stint number 1 was 68. So the bank is open. You can go to the end of the race from this point. But again, most of these drivers pitted only 40 laps ago. So I would expect we'll see them go long, Kenneth, in this middle run so that they have to put the least amount of fuel in the car on that final pit stop to get to the final distance.
Yeah, we also saw drivers, while they were under the pace laps, some of them, including pole sitter Bobby Zielinski, were hitting the high revs in second gear. And that's not because of any kind of other situation, just to have fun. It's partially to warm up the tires on the start, but also to burn fuel. The lighter you have the race car, the better it's probably going to handle, especially in the middle of traffic, when all the dirty air is going to create that understeer effect. You want to make sure you kind of get around that for the most part. And I think the rookies so far, Alan, have had the biggest test of it all. That's why Charlotte was so interesting to start this season. It's not an equalizer super speedway. You got to work hard if you want a good finishing position in your debut.
No, it's certainly a baseline to see what skill level, right? We can see with all these drivers. We saw Kenny Brady, we saw Tommy Gossett, these rookies that are in the series. Another excellent paint scheme here. The 01 car, I mean, just you look at it shine as it goes through those corners. I mean, we talk about adding, the paint scheme of the year. This is an early contender for Tommy Gossett and what he was able to do, making it in through free agency, told his story online and through social media and his love of competition. So it was great to see him get picked up by Inferno, and he's got a heck of a good-looking car while he's doing it.
He also said he wants to be the Jimmy Spencer of the series, which is one of the more fun bio entries I have seen, and it's a good-looking paint scheme on that Vegas Inferno machine. There's his teammate Michael Guest. Tommy also shouted out the expertise of Tommy when we talked to him preseason. He said that because Guest is a veteran of the series, he's going to be able to push him to learn more and obviously adapt quicker. And Michael right now running in the number 27 position. Somebody else who's running basically exactly where he started for all the drivers on a long run who have suffered from damage early and dropped the back or picked up positions in the handfuls. Guest is just kind of right where he qualified. Maybe that's what that car has here in this season opener in the Houston Hot Chicken Toyota. That's another race car that stands out as well. Zelensky continuing to lead. His advantage is now 0.8 of a second over Tucker Minter in the number 2 spot and Connor Urashak in third, getting caught by Christopher Hill. That may be the next battle on track in the number 3 to 4 spot. Wilson in P5. Michael Cozy Jr., your big mover, 32 spots gained, is the only driver inside of the top 10 who didn't qualify inside of the top 16. I mean, he is an outlier in this running order.
He's done a great job of working up forward, and we mentioned teams, how important working as a unit is, and not only great individual talent, but also running for a team championship, the way that Steven Wilson and Femi Olatunbosun did it back in 2025. It's an early case already for William Byron Esports with Hill and Minter, and then also ERA Esports with Cozy Jr. and race leader in Zelensky. But I'm keeping an eye on that 97 Chevrolet. We mentioned his long run pace is one of his strong suits. It worked for him here last season for the win, and so far he is reeling down the race leader by just a hair, only a couple hundredths of a second, but it is still more than enough to get a little bit closer, and getting close by the end of this fuel run going to be very important to put himself in the right place at the end.
I was going to say Steven Wilson comfortably now in the top 5, but Connor Urashak back and attacking, but Steven Wilson able to slide up there and make that pass. We're seeing the difference in strategies, right? The difference in long-run cars versus maybe the short-run speed of Connor Urashak. We have to think about that later in this race. It has been clean and green so far. It appears the long-run cars are going to benefit, but if this does come down to any series of short runs, think about Connor Urashak and that speed. But right now, this seems to be playing into those drivers that can save their tires, have managed them well. Bobby Zelensky, Tucker Minter have shown us that throughout the night.
Yeah, remember, Urashak was at one point the net leader in the race on the pit cycle, has kind of dropped all the way back to number 5 spot in that cycle in favor of guys like Minter and Zelensky who have been better. It also looks like Cozy's lost a couple spots as this run has gone on, so is that somebody else in the ERA machine who either has a short to medium run long car, or the fact that he pitted earlier also just maybe kind of fudging those numbers and obviously making him struggle quicker on the back end as those tires get to age. We did see Casey Kerwin come down pit road, the first driver in for pit stop number 2 on the afternoon. Again, these drivers can go as many as about 17 more laps if they wanted to. That's about the max on fuel that you can do, but radio chatter starting to light up, and more cars are coming down and in. Basin, Guest, Brady, all down this time. Somebody missed their stall and had to back it up, and that's going to lose a bit of time. That might have been Michael Guest there with that mistake into the box.
Yeah, you're really just hoping there, if you're at the back, that if you short pit now, use the fresh tires, be a little aggressive here at this portion of the race. If you stay out longer than everyone else and then eventually the cycle comes around, if you get a well-timed yellow, track position is in your hands. And how many times have we seen these races come down to that exact same idea? You throw out a prayer, yellow flag comes out, all of a sudden you're in top 5, top 10 territory, a big gain already from where you started. And then from there, it's just trying to play the aero game and try to be up in front of everyone. So that's what those drivers at the back are doing, but could see that call come in for all the drivers at the front just a bit later.
And remember that initial pit cycle, we saw Steven Wilson stay out longer than just about anybody, certainly longer than most of the leaders. That seems to be paying off now that perhaps he has the fresher tires and taking advantage of that. Can't quite, break that bubble of Bobby Zalinski and Tucker Minter, but the way he's been able to drive his way through and try to get the lead, we'll see if this strategy plays out once again as these tires continue to wear, and we wait to see when this pit cycle starts for the leaders.
And a big swing now is about 3 or 4 drivers from the top 5 are pitting. Hill, Urashek, Cozy, the headliners, but you got Reynolds, Marin, Conklin, Stewart, Nichols, Duvall, and more. I mean, it is a whole swing of drivers who have all been out there anywhere from 49 to 54 laps on the run, which again is certainly on the short end of the stick. So drivers going long on lap stint number 1 and seeming to split the difference for the most part here in the second stint, pinting at about the intersection where the laps run since their last pit stop hits up with the laps to go in this race. So 1 long run, 2 medium length runs appears to be a popular decision throughout the field.
And it's, again, use that fresh tires to the advantage. I mean, what they saw out of Connor Urashek, although he did eventually lose the lead to Bobby Zalinski, was something worth noting in the end of that run. If you can hold off the fresh tire cars and have a distance to work with, it's going to matter a ton. And here are more drivers on pit road coming in. Zach Novak is one of them, and plenty of others in the mid-pack that have also visited pit road. Tucker Minter's already out, trying to revisit off of turn 2. There's Ryan Doucette, Cody Bias, some of those cars for the Apex Racing team and their different strategies. And now the race leader, Bobby Zalinski, coming in. Most famously, as Alan said, Steven Wilson staying out the extra few laps. So that's going to be fun to watch that blend once they come on the racetrack.
So big moment here as your race leaders in the battle for the win will not intersect on strategy, and Zalinski is the first of those big names to come down to the pit lane. We've also seen a lot of moments. A couple of people have, smoked the tires, getting onto the pit lane. A couple of cars maybe have gone a little bit too deep into the box, but no, to my knowledge at least, penalties yet for speeding. Haven't seen it yet. We're not in the clear quite yet, but just an observation for how many close calls we appear to have had with drivers smoking them. Let's take a look at some more pit road excitement on the pit lane entry with the 88 machine, and if it worked good enough the first time, let's be aggressive and get on pit road the same way the second stop. That was Malik Ray on his entry, but again did get down to pit road speed in time. So you blink, and all of a sudden there are only 8 drivers yet to come down to the pit lane for the second and final time, and then everybody should have enough fuel, unless there was any mistake on the math. They should be well within their window to be able to get to the end of this race.
It's all good now. It's really just a matter of tire conservation and how much you're willing to push here, especially now that you look at some of those guys who did come down pit road, the Bobby Zalenskis, Donovan Strausses, Connor Urasheks of the world, Wyatt Tinsley's, what they're doing now, if they're pushing really hard in the middle of lap traffic and a ton of other cars that are out in their way, just staying out for the most part, how that's going to affect the way they push or maybe be a little more conservative with their race cars. But I'd imagine Steven Wilson is just carrying that mindset from a lot of last season where he overcut plenty of times. It worked out in his favor just with his outright speed. That's what he's hoping works out in this moment as Salas, Olatunbosin, and Noel come in. So it's really going to cycle things out. Wilson is just holding on to a really long run.
We take a look at where drivers cycle out in all of this. Bobby Zalenski, when you look at drivers who have pitted, is going to cycle out to about 4th in that cycle. So pitting a little bit later means that Minter, Hill, and Cozy have all undercut Zalenski. Now, he's going to have the slightly better tires. We'll see if head-to-head he's going to be able to get those spots back, but Zalenski has some work to do, and he's going to get right to it. Onto the bottom, through and around Michael Cozy Jr. That is for 5th position on track right now, but will eventually be the pass for 3rd. We now await only Steven Wilson and Logan Helton to come down pit road. Up front, there are other drivers who have yet to pit. It includes Parker White and Dylan Alt, but they are back in traffic and less visual in terms of the battle for the race lead.
the strategy for Steven Wilson, it's just fascinating to me in terms of everyone's chasing him, like Tucker Minter there in the 97. Was that Steven Wilson? Now he has decided to pit. I was going to say he has the advantage eventually with these new tires once he puts them on, but you have to give yourself enough time for that advantage to come to fruition, and that will be later in this run at the end of the race if it should go green. So we'll see what the field can do to make up ground that Steven Wilson had put on there during this strategy. Tucker Minter looks like he should inherit the lead once everybody is in their further pit.
Just watching Wilson in the box as well. He's going to be off and away. Again, long run. Shouldn't be surprised by it, but that was the shortest pit stop that we saw from anybody with Steven Wilson. 2-tire decision, less fuel than anybody else. So Steven really shaking things up with that call. We'll see how it plays out for the Spire Motorsports car. He is back off and away. White and Alt, again, they still have to pit for the midfield, but Logan Helton getting some laps led up at the front of the field. The money lap 42 is your leader. The man who will cycle through to the lead is that Logitech number 97 of Tucker Minter. He is only 0.6 of a second ahead of Christopher Hill, who will be P2. And then it's about the same distance, just over a half second, back to Bobby Zelensky, who will cycle through to third. This look right now, second, third, fourth, going to be 1, 2, 3 soon.
Exactly like it was at the end of that first green flag run, where eventually Zelensky was able to get around Connor Euroshak, and then the William Byron Esports cars were able to slither on by. But you've added more drivers to the mix because Euroshak kind of waved in the background, but Wyatt Tinsley and Seth the Merchant and Donovan Strauss have all emerged as contenders for the win here, all on different sets of tires through different laps, and some of them even better in comparison to the leaders that we're watching right now on the speedway. So it's been really fun to see that all happen. And for Steven Wilson, caught that. It was just a balanced decision there in the wake of the moment. If he didn't take 2 tires and took less fuel than everybody else, he was going to lose way more time. He had stayed out so long, he had to compensate for a shorter pit stop. It's worked out just to keep him within some kind of striking distance. Now he's really got to have his head down and hunker with 40 to go. As here comes Zelensky looking for a second.
Trying to get that spot up on the outside of Christopher Hill. He's going to get the job done down the back straightaways. So Zelensky now into third position and 1 spot away from getting back to the top of the scoring pylon. Garrett Main says that he'll be coming down pit road this time by. We'll see if that means that the fuel number is about there for others. Again, 68 was the max on cycle number 1. Logan Helton could get another 16 laps out of this then if he really wants to force the issue. That would put us all the way to about 24 laps to go. But patently, nobody's got the fuel to be able to not come down pit road for a second time. That's just not the case. As we take a look at the midfield battle, it's been clogged up all race long. The fact that we've been green for 120 laps, Alan, hasn't mattered. They are still 3 wide, 2 wide every time we look back here.
Yeah, the back of the field, the midfield, it's just such hard racing. We see it on Sundays. We see it here in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Championship Series. Saw it through the qualifying series. Every position is earned. And again, some of these guys are rookies. We have 9 rookies in the field who have never made a start in this championship series, who are trying to make their way and make their name. Meanwhile, you have one of the best to ever do it, Steven Wilson, trying to make up this deficit late in the race with only 38 laps to go. We know he's fast. We know he should have something of a fresher tire advantage, but with only 2 of them, he has a lot of ground to make up. And then back in the field, every position seems to be a dogfight back here, even between teammates.
Jumping a little bit further up in the running order, that is Steven Wilson engaged in combat with Donovan Strauss for the number 6 spot on track right now. The Williams F1 team gaming machine up top, not going to go quietly into the night as he's going to put up a fight against Steven Wilson, but the 77 machine has nearly a dozen lot better tires. It's going to be easy work for the Spire Motorsports machine. Again, I do find it a little bit interesting, the decision on the pit lane. It was a very short pit stop in the end for Steven Wilson at just 11 seconds. I went back to look at the pit stop for Donovan Strauss. He went with 4. That seemed to be the popular call, Kenneth. I was shocked, though, that Steven decided to go for only 2. He may be the only driver who did that, unless I manually look at everybody's pit stop, but most people's pit stop times would accommodate 4, except for what the 77 did.
And it's exactly what I mentioned a little bit earlier, just trying to make up what could have been more lost time had he had 4 fresh tires. Let's get a look at the replay, battle for 19th, or it looks like this is the live shot in the battle for 19th, and everyone's still going all over the place. But it was Wilson going later than everyone else. And when you do that, you end up being in a position where you could lose time all those fresh tire cars, even if they fall a lap down and there's a whole cycle that happens. You bleed more time being too far gone on the racetrack. So Wilson told himself, if I take 2, I can still give myself a shot relatively. Plus, it loosens up the car. Maybe he had an understeering condition, trying to free it up a little bit by getting the right sides only on it, on a tire stop that no one has really decided to do in a race so far, dictated by a lot of this aero game in the mid-pack and even up in front.
And now a battle for second, which if it ends up being a pass for the eventual race win, could become a Coca-Cola move of the race. We'll see. Zelensky is there. Lost a little bit of ground that time at 1 and 2. They both navigate the lapped traffic of Blaze Crawford. What a rough night it's been for that Coca-Cola machine. Started 12th, got the damage off of the bat, and it has just been miserable for him since then, as he's back in the number 38 spot. They get around him, and now Zelensky can tee it up once more, trying to challenge for what is currently second, but should become the lead not too long from now. Zelensky right up on the fence. Minter picking the center of the corner that time through 1 and 2.
And this is the hardest part to deal with. Lap traffic, drivers especially parking it on the inside if it's the preferred lane. And you don't necessarily have it, so you have to find a way around in clean air. These 2 leaders have done a great job of doing that. But remember, earlier on in the last run, how Zelensky did this exact same thing, preying on his opponent, just waiting for the moment where he could have enough speed, enough momentum in the right lane, in the clean air, to weave on by. He did that for Euroshak. Who's to say he won't do it again on Tucker Minter? Now, Minter might be a little bit smarter here, just seeing this is the battle for the win, being a little more aggressive than Euroshak is, but there is a threshold on the tires that could be the benefit of Zelensky that Minter cannot defend. 30 laps to go, and the 2 Chevrolets nose to tail back to turn 1.
A battle between 2 of the best. These are drivers who have multiple appearances in the championship 4, still chasing that title, but to come out here, start the season, and put on this show with still 31 laps to go. Bobby Z's trying to chase him down. Good stuff, Evan.
It is, and look how calm they both look. Tucker leaning into the corner as always. Zelensky, that determined look in his eyes that we're used to. Quick glance maybe at the gauges. He's not looking in the mirror, though. There's no challenge from behind them. They've got about an 0.8 of a second gap over Christopher Hill. If this battle gets side by side now for extended period of time, then you got to start talking about third man in on the fight. If somebody else closes the gap. Here's a look now to the inside for Zelensky. Washes up off of the line, can't hold it there. Minter squeaks back around the top side and now shuts the door.
And that was the first time, Evan, that we saw Minter use the very bottom of the racetrack, and he paid the price. He wiggled the car at the exit of 2, lost a bit of speed, and it allowed Zelensky to get right back in it to charge on the inside. Both of them taking the high side. Minter trying to block through the air, and he does so right now. Stays ahead by at least a car length or so. We know the passes on the bottom have been harder to come by once the rubber gets into the racetrack. Zelensky's doing all that he can, but he's got wasted time in this moment in that first attempt. And does he push his tires too far? Could Christopher Hill make a move in third?
It's clear that the better car is Zelensky by at least a slim margin, but Minter using the advantage of the track position and then literally physically positioning that car to make life difficult for the number 22 behind him. Zelensky again way to the outside. That's where he gets the speed. But the 97 has done a good job not letting him get to his outside. Look at that, Bobby trying to go above the 97 instead of below him. Got a bit of the fence that time into turn number 1. He wants to get outside of the 97. Minter's going to slide up and shut the door, knowing how critical that is. He's mirror driving now down the back straight, and we've still got 27 to go. Here he goes. Big swing to the inside. Zelensky gets clear. Minter crossing back over to the inside. Can he clear him back? Yes, he does. What a battle right now for P2.
But look on the bottom of the screen. There are two more drivers that could very well have a shot to win this thing if the leaders continue to go mano-a-mano and side by side. Wilson has finally made his way around for third, and he's got direct eyesight of the top two. Clearing a lap car, Zelensky again in the bottom, trying to force his way to the inside. Minter pushing through the middle. They remain door to door. Zelensky cannot clear. Zelensky has to try another time with Wilson in the background.
Logan Helton pits, and it finally yields the battle for the race lead to these two. Tucker Minter back to the top step on the pylon at 25 laps to go in this race. Minter and Zelensky combined have led nearly 90 laps in this thing. They've been the best two cars in the race. But are they going to be able to fight it out amongst themselves, or is this man going to have something to say about it? Steven Wilson started 7th, has led 10 laps on the afternoon, was faster than both of them the last time by.
And he has the tire advantage, at least on the right side. And we see him creeping into the picture with every closing lap. And the more these two race, Tucker Minter, Bobby Zelensky, the more Steven Wilson will come into the picture. He's loving what he is seeing outside of his windshield as Tucker once again has to fend off Bobby Zelensky, who appears to have the faster car, but Tucker in control, while Steven Wilson and those tires are coming as fast as he has all night. This is going to be such a battle toward the end.
Zelensky again trying to get to the inside, but Minter knows how powerful that run on the outside of the corner is. And, you know, Bobby understands the game that's being played here as well. He made that big slide job move on the 97, got up in front of him. But when Minter was able to cross him back over, then the 22 couldn't hold the position. Bobby, if this pace maintains, clearly is going to have to do the same move on the bottom, but then get up in front of the 97 and block so he can't get back around him. Or, with how close these cars are running to the walls, Zelensky mainly, who's up on the fence every single lap, is one of them going to make a mistake? You can see from the blimp, Wilson now within 0.4 of a second of the leaders. Christopher Hill in 4th has dropped out of the picture for the moment. This time by 21 laps to go from the Charlotte Motor Speedway.
You know, it's one of those things where if you're Bobby Zelensky, you're going a bit frustrated. You know you have a fast car. You know you can get around Tucker Minter. You just haven't been able to do it yet with this aero wash, with all the lines being played. But then if Zelensky was in the same position as Minter, he would do the same thing. He would be blocking in the middle. He would be doing everything in his power to take the lines away. So it's just that kind of thing of this is how the racing works in this era of Coke Championship Series racing. And now Wilson, although he's edged a little bit closer, he's got into these top two. How can he differentiate himself? How much faster is his car? And is this a full-on replay, Evan, of last season's Charlotte race with at least 3 or more contenders in the fight for the win inside the final 20 on tire strategy?
Certainly feels like it is, and here's the battle cam from on board with Steven Wilson. The gap is down to now 0.4, maybe 3, as he tries to close the gap. Lost a little bit the last time by to the leaders. Now Zelensky and Minter, obviously, if they run single file like this, it may better their odds of not getting caught, but if they go side by side, Wilson's going to close the gap. Minter got a little bit sideways, that time off at 2. Here comes Bobby now down to the bottom again. No big charge. He'll draw even with the 97. But Minter's going to get the better run off of the 24 degrees of bacon. He doesn't clear him back, though, that time. They will stay side by side. Zelensky even. Now clear in the center of the turn. What does Minter do off of turn 2? He's got the run, but is it enough for a crossover? It's not this time. New leader once more. Bobby Zelensky goes back to the point.
Perfect placement from Bobby Zalenski. The first slider attempt was a heave. He threw it in there. He knew Minter was going to have a run to the inside for the race lead and get back at him at the exit of the corner. But that time, clear, very composed, slid up at the right time. Minter was right getting into the gas at that point. So by that moment, that's when Zalenski can start to pull away. And now even better for the ERA Esports Chevrolet, Steven Wilson is there, and Steven Wilson is hunting inside for second.
Yeah, it's a question of how much of the good did Bobby Zalenski, did Tucker Minter use in that long battle. If Steven Wilson can make quick work of Tucker Minter here, I'd be very worried if I were that 22 car of Bobby Zalenski. The champ is coming right now, but as he has been all night, Tucker Minter, hard to pass, staying hard out there on the outside and trying to keep Steven Wilson behind him, making nothing of this easy as he cuts down in front as they go down the backstretch.
Gonna have to do the same song and dance that he just watched these two guys do for the better part of 2 or 3 dozen laps. Wilson there on the bottom, even with Minter. Likely going to try to get clear now as they get center off of the turns 1 and 2 complex. On the bottom, there it is. Gas is up. He's going to have to get off the throttle. Pulls up in front of the 97, and a mirrored image out of what we saw at Zalenski is going to put Steven Wilson into the number 2 spot. So now, 2 tenths, 14 laps. Can Wilson do anything with Zalenski out in front, and who's got the clean air?
And you can tell Minter is starting to struggle a little bit on his setup Goodyear Eagles. That car, he was pushing hard to defend on Zalenski. And those were 2 moments, opportunistic for Zalenski and Wilson, where it's mid-corner of the apex where they slide right in front, and that's exactly what you need. Can't be too far up the racetrack, can't be too low. You have to be directly in the center of the car that's right behind you when you make that pass. And Minter has to play a bit of damage control here inside 15 laps to go. But if you're Zalenski, you're keenly watching what Steven Wilson is doing. And as a race car driver, 2 tires can sometimes feel a little bit like you're unstoppable when you've got more rotation at this point of the run, and you can just feel that you are a bit faster than the driver in front, especially when you know a win is on the cards.
Bobby Zalenski attempting to win a race for the 10th straight season. He has never not won a race over the course of his career here in this series. A lot of them multi-race win seasons. He won 2 races last year, Talladega and Pocono, and would love to continue what has been one of the strongest stretches of performance we've ever seen out of a driver, as Bobby continues to solidify himself as one of the best that's ever done it. But the man who has had his number in those championship races is the one trying to spoil the party. There's a 3rd car in the picture that is not going to be for position. That is Logan Helton, who pitted the latest out of everybody else. He's trying to unlap himself from 34th and needs to have some urgency in doing so, because if we get a yellow, he would be able to pit with the leaders if he's a lead lap car versus being the first car 1 lap down and needing a wave around. So there will be some urgency in Logan Helton trying to get around these 2.
And that's tough if you're Steven Wilson, because we know what Logan's his motivation is right now, but you don't want to be racing the car a lap down if you're Steven Wilson and trying to catch Bobby Zalenski. We've seen a lot out of Steven Wilson today. We've really never seen him take the lead, though, during a pit cycle, so we haven't seen him battle for the lead quite yet. That's what we're hoping to see here. But that lap car, who's trying to get his lap back, Logan Helton, could play a factor here.
And again, these drivers not on the same strategy either, which I think is important to note. When Zalenski came down to the pit lane, it was a 4-tire stop. When Wilson came down to the pit lane, it's a 2-tire stop. A little bit miraculous to me that Wilson's able to do this on the 2. Less fuel, less tires, equal chance right now, 9 laps to go.
Again, it just also comes down to the lap at which he pit. He overcut tremendously on the rest of the competition, and yeah, he had to take 2 less tires than the rest of the field, but of course, look where it's gotten him, from the skill that Wilson has naturally to the 2 fresh tires on the side of the race car. 2 is better than none. So at that point, you can still use the fresh grip to your advantage as we watch the 2 William Byron Esports teammates go at it. I mean, still, what an illustrious night for them two. If they can both capture a top 5 in the first race of the season and try to build on an overall team's championship, as Hill joins that group. It's just crazy to watch the story, though, between the top two leaders and how Zelensky, 18 wins, third on the all-time wins list. Wilson, who has quickly ascended up that board and is now trying to tie him. That is what's at stake. Either Zelensky getting one more on Wilson or Wilson tying Zelensky on the all-time win leader. That's going to be cool.
And these are drivers that have already cemented a place in history in this eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Championship Series, that it is an absolute treat to watch two of the best old time in their prime duke it out like we're seeing right here tonight as we kick off the 17th season of the top esport level here with Oval Sim Racing on the iRacing platform. Going to be 6 to go this time by. The gap kind of even. Make it 4 car lengths at the stripe. Some laps go in favor of the 22. Others swinging in favor of the 77. Also just looking out in front of these drivers, Jordi Lopez is maybe a full turn ahead of them, so lap traffic could be a factor depending on how much they catch him. And in the number 3 spot, it is still Christopher Hill at 1 second back, not currently a threat. It also appears Logan Helton is not going to force the issue. He has backed off despite being faster to allow these two to fight it out.
We're seeing Wilson there just a little lower on the track. That's where Bobby Z has been running for much of this race. And it feels, guys, like a cat and mouse. Is Steven Wilson saving anything? It seems like you have to be pushing with 5 to go, but there is still time to keep some tire under you, especially if you only have 2. But we're getting toward the end as we have a better battle here for about 11th place here with Zach Novak, Garrett Lowe, trying to push it here, and Sebastian Marin hadn't made much noise all night, but making up some good ground for his first race here in the championship series.
A lot of driver chatter over the radio as well now as drivers maybe get frustrated and a little bit mentally exhausted. Clean and green through 157 laps. All 40 drivers who started this race are still scored on the lead lap. The battle is on between Novak and Salas in a battle for 13th and 14th. You've got Marin there as well. But up front, Wilson just took a peek on Zelensky. Wasn't able to hold the nose. Again, looking to the inside. Bobby drives to the apron and shuts the door. Going to be 2 laps to go this time by. 1 more trip to make this race official.
That was a powerful block by Zelensky. Knew where Wilson was going, knew where he was going to send that Chevrolet at the apex, and then just denied him any opportunity of moving to the inside. And Christopher Hill is somehow invited to make a move for the top 3. I mean, Wilson has been giving it his all, and Bobby Zelensky trying to hold on for at least 1 more lap.
Still a little bit of traffic looming. You can see it out the front windshield as a good perspective from Christopher Hill, who has all of a sudden closed the gap to 4/10. The white flag does fly. The race is going to end here. Wilson, 2 car lengths. That's the gap that he just hasn't been able to get a little bit more of, and might have got the fence just a touch off of turn number 2. Final sequence of corners for Bobby Zelensky, who will start 2026 on a strong foot. Another championship series win for Bobby Zelensky.
Stone face, not so much celebration for Bobby Z. He wants to get this done. He's on a championship march, and it's starting already. The only thing left to do is win that title, and he started off very good this season. Pole and a victory.
We talked a lot about what's new in 2026. New format, new faces, new teams. What isn't new about the 2026 season is now it is the 11th consecutive year where this man has taken home a race win. The celebration is on in Charlotte. This winning moment is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR, as Bobby Zelensky kicks off the 2026 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Championship Series with a win in the Coca-Cola 160. Let's look to your Coca-Cola move of the race, and we watched the battle. It was for fourth, it was for third. Eventually, it went all the way to the battle for the race lead, and it did not happen quickly. But Bobby Zalenski had to work hard. It was that slight bobble there, I think, off of turn number 2, Kenneth, that set it up. He got down to the inside in 3 and 4.
And this was the perfect time to do it, setting up the inside pass. But most crucially, Evan, getting alongside, side drafting Minter down the straightaway, not letting that Logitech G Chevrolet fully clear. But when they get to turn 1, this is the magic move. Sending into the inside, let Minter run up high, try the slider, give the aero wash, be right in front, deny the line, and Zalenski does a great job of holding on to the lead from that moment on to win the first race of the 2026 season.
So that was your move of the race, and then coming to the finish line, let's listen on board with Steven Wilson. That is on throttle, and that is out of fuel. That thing started sputtering off at turn 4. It allows Christopher Hill to make a last-moment pass for second. Wilson will come home in third. We knew he had gone shorter on the fuel again. His pit stop was only 11 seconds. That was 3 full seconds shorter than nearly anybody else. I think only Femi Olsen tried to pull the same strategy. So Wilson, unable to make it to the end out of fuel, will coast across the line to finish in the number 3 spot. But Bobby Zalenski parking on the front straightaway as he collects career race victory in this season, or in this series, I should say, number 19, still third on the all-time list. We take a look at your full race results. The margin of victory ends up at a half a second for Zalenski over Hill, and then Wilson. We'll try to get a word with some of those drivers in just a moment. Tucker Minter ends up in the number 4 spot. He cannot repeat as a Charlotte race winner, but was still competitive, and that was no surprise. Tinsley ends up inside of the top 5 with Donovan Strauss, a quiet P6. Seth the Merchant in 7th. Michael Cozy Jr. ends the night as your biggest mover, 30 positions gained to finish in 8th. Connor Urashak is 9th, and Blake Reynolds in his return, P10.
Vicente Salas in the 11th spot, Garrett Lowe behind him in 12th. Zach Novak, among some of those drivers in a pretty hefty battle for position late, is 13th. Rookie Sebastian Marin in his first start, it's 14th. Sean Conklin the same, a top 15 run at the end. Femi Olsen 16th. Quentin Warman 17th. Dylan Duval ends up in the 18th spot with Malik Ray and Ryan Luza bringing in the end of the top 20.
That brings you halfway home. 21st in this race, we'll go to Nate Stewart with Colin Keister in 22nd. Matthew Morton, Dylan Basin, and Casey Kerwin end up in the number 25 spot in this race. Jake Nichols ends up in 26th. Cody Bias, 27th. A decent pickup for Kenny Brady. He'll settle for 29th with Gossett and Falkingham, your top 30.
And the rest of the field, a lot of them had front end nose damage or rear damage early in the race and just could not recover. That includes drivers like Blaze Crawford, like Parker White. Had a hard time getting around. Same deal for Garrett Maines. And they close out tonight's field for the first race of the season here from Charlotte.
And a DNF counter of 0. All 40 drivers make it to the end of the longest race of the season. 1 down, 12 to go. Just like that, we are off and away here in 2026 as Bobby Zalenski claims victory. Let's talk with your race winner. Hand things off to you, Alan.
Bobby Zalenski, a winner once again. You started on the pole, you finished first, but everything in between, it was not easy, my friend. Let's talk about the battle with Tucker Minter and then potentially at the end with Steven Wilson. What made that so difficult for you?
I mean, it's the clean air. I was also really killing myself trying to pass Tucker because I saw Steven coming. He did the 2 tire strat, which surprised he made it work so well on those left sides. But I knew he was on his way, and I was really desperate just to get cleaner on Tucker because I had a tire advantage on him. I'd been leading most of the race, but Tucker's trying to win too, and it's just I was hoping we wouldn't slow each other down so much to both lose the win there. But thankfully, I had enough tire in it to battle Steven, and it was just a lot of mind games there. Just like the Real Cup Series, trying to aero block. We have a little different aero model where if they get up right up on your bumper, you as the leader you get loose. So I was trying to avoid that, and he was sending it. So I just I'm really really grateful, happy to get a win. First race of the year with new season with ERA Sports. All those guys there are really cool, and gosh, this couldn't have went any better. Caution free, went out and just won it on merit. Had the pole. I could not have wanted more. This is fantastic.
Evan mentioned how long you've been doing this in terms of different cars, different eras, what have you, different competition. You have won in more than 10 straight seasons. How do you do this, Bobby? How do you keep evolving and keeping yourself at the top of the game?
It's just what I do. I don't, I'm a racer. I've been a racer since birth. I mentioned in the pre-race, like I'd love to race in real life and on the sim one day. And, this is just what I know. It's what I'm best at. It's what I love to do. I remember saying in preseason questions, like, why do you do this? I'm like, this is still a lot of fun to do. It's, it can be bad. You can have bad luck and it sucks, but it's a lot of fun to do. And at this point, it just comes naturally to me. And I mean, what's not to love about NASCAR racing?
I hear you. Hey, look, our cameras, we didn't catch your live reaction. We just saw Stone-Faced Bobby get the checkered flag. Can you reenact what we missed, your celebration?
Not a chance. It has to come natural, brother. It has to come natural. So you're going to have to go find you're going to have to find some recordings. It was a lot of relief. I am tired. I mean, caution free. Shout out to all the noobs, right? We had 9 noobs, rookies.
Yep.
We had no cautions. Like, shout out to everybody. It was a really good race from start to finish. The battle for the lead was always there. That is proper racing. I'm biased because I won, but Chris was even on his way there at the end. I'm glad the race wasn't like 7 more laps. So I would have been passed by Chris probably.
Hey, shout out to the noobs. Watch Bobby Z. That is how it's done. Watch the veteran. Congrats, Bobby. We'll see you next time.
And now joined by the second place finisher, Christopher Hill. Christopher, what a start to this 2026 season here at Charlotte. But yet to pass Steven Wilson, who ran out of fuel on the final lap. You were right in it, possibly for the win. It had gone longer. What were you seeing there in that final stint and wrangling this Chevrolet on old tires to the end?
Yeah, I put myself in a tire deficit from the first stint. I honestly shocked that we did the entire race without a yellow. So I kind of hit the threshold early on my tires, which put me earlier down pit road than everybody I was racing basically the whole race. So my whole strategy there was I knew Tucker was going to race Bobby as hard as he could, try to hold track position in case there was a yellow. So I was sitting there saving, and I actually got very frustrated with about 10 to go. I saw Steven and Bobby's tires start to, take a step away, and I knew I was too little too late. I had enough tire there at the end, but I ran out of time. So I'm happy to get a second place for the 25 Logitech G Chevrolet, and a good showing for my first ride with William Byron Esports.
We noted your strong performance in your rookie season in 2025, where 3 of the last 6 races were top 6 runs and chances to win several events. Now that you've joined William Byron Esports, you joined a good friend in Tucker Minter. What does a finish like this say for the possibility, the potential of Christopher Money Hill for the rest of this season?
I feel pretty good. I mean, at the end of last year, I felt great, and I'm glad to see it's transferred over to this season. And I thought there in the first little part of the race it'd be between Tucker and I for the win. So I think it bodes well for Tucker and I's chance at the team title this year.
Well, Christopher, a great finish tonight here in the Coca-Cola 160. Congratulations on the runner-up finish. We'll see you in the field at Echo Park Speedway in just a few weeks.
Thank you, guys.
Steven Wilson, 3rd place tonight. It looked like you may have been in contention for the win, so take us through the strategy. Many times throughout this night, the strategy got you to the lead, and it looked like you were contending there at the end. What made the difference, though, for you?
Yeah, we were going for a little off strategy there, taking 2 tires on that last pit stop, seeing what would work, trying to get a quick pit stop. Kind of just died off at the end. We left side tires were wearing a lot, and kind of just lost a little speed there at the end to get to Bobby, got too tight. So I got Hosevar on the phone. He's trying to tell me what to say. He wants me to thank. We're going to thank Zico, the fueler, for the quick pit stops. Got to thank Luke, the crew chief, for the calls. We had a really good piece out here tonight in the 77 Spire Motorsports Spire Motorsports Chevy. Thank you, TWG, everyone at Spire Graphics for the paint scheme. Appreciate that. And yeah, it was pretty fun tonight. Good start. Third place, we'll take it and move on.
Hey, shout out to Hosevar for watching us. What did he think of the two-tire call? Did you run out of gas there? Was it a little too quick, that final pit stop?
Carson, they're asking, what do you think about the 2 tires?
Well, you didn't win, so I don't know if it was worth it or not, but I wish we had a lot more pace. You know, if the driver was able to put it together right now, we wouldn't have had to do 2 tires. We could have just done 4 and won the race. But, you know, my suggestion would be we get an F1 wheel, because that would maybe... You know, right now we're first in class.
Yeah, we're first in class. First on an oval wheel. Top 2 at Formula Wims. Yep. So that might be what we're missing. I've got one. I got to go get it. Maybe that'll give me another 10th here. Yeah, you know what? We had a good piece. I think I was just going out on a limb with the 2 tires. Maybe didn't have to do it. I think we were pretty fast there, but give it a go.
Hey, well, shout out to Carson. He can use a little of that Chili's Talladega money and get you a new rim over there. But Steven Wilson, good start to the season regardless. We'll see you next time, man.
Thank you, guys. See you later.
Big thanks to our top 3 for giving us some time there and the insights. Maybe that's something to be said. I mean, we've slowly seen that Formula rim, right? First, we saw drivers using it on the road courses a couple years ago, and then we found it a little peculiar that some drivers started doing it everywhere. Carson might be onto something. I'm not ready to go all in on that conspiracy yet, but that is worth noting, guys. I just saw a tweet from Mike Conti who said that was one of the most enjoyable Coke races he's seen in quite some time. I mean, caution-free, no DNFs, competitive racing with 2 of the best drivers in this series going at it. I'm not sure what else we could have asked for to kick off the 17th year of this thing.
Evan, what a great way to kick off this season here at Charlotte. And again, it was different for all the drivers. They see Charlotte a little later on in the campaign. We get to see Daytona, the super speedways, kick off the season first, and you think chaos, chaos, chaos. But all the rookies, all the veterans, everyone had to deal with such a very hard, grueling race tonight and the longest of the season. Alan, I think it probably was the perfect storm to brew up a very good start, and what a way for it to happen with Bobby Zalenski out-dueling some of the best class of this field to be able to win it.
I can't wait to hear from some of the rookies, noobs, Bobby Zalenski called them, because that's how you get it done. A race like that without caution, 160 laps, and the cream of the crop absolutely rose to the top tonight. Tucker Minter, Chris Hill, Bobby Z, Steven Wilson. I mean, the best of the best. That's how you do it, young people, rookies. So get to it.
There's going to be a lot of nuance we'll talk about over these next couple of weeks. The fact that the segments are short and the segment bonuses and all those things that make this championship series what it is. We'll get to that when we're back with you in 2 weeks' time. We may not have opened the season at the Daytona International Speedway, Kenneth, but if you like, I'll call it super speedway-esque still, because it's kind of its own category, but Echo Park Speedway is going to give us that kind of unpredictability, and that's coming at us 2 weeks' time on June the 2nd.
Well, for the drivers that like this type of drafting, high-intensity, high-pack racing, this will scratch the itch for sure. At a very unique speedway. And one of the last times we were here, Malik Ray getting his first career eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series championship win. So we'll see how that happens. It's going to be fun in 2 weeks.
It really is. We're happy that you've been with us. We are off and away. And now 12 races to go until we crown a champion. That is it for us here tonight from Charlotte. On behalf of our entire team, from iRacing, our remote crew, for everybody at NASCAR as well, and of course for your broadcast team tonight. For Ryan Vargas and James Pike on Countdown to Green, for Alan Cavana, Kenneth Bueno, and myself, Evan Pasoko. I want to say thanks for being a part of it with us, and congratulations go to a familiar face in victory lane. Yet another race victory for Bobby Zalenski as he continues to mark himself as the third winningest driver in series history. We're back in 2 weeks' time. That's Tuesday, June 2nd, from iRacing's virtual Echo Park Speedway. That race and every race of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Championship Series can be found right here on the iRacing Esports Network. Good night from Charlotte.